this time, because this will be the third try. First try, nothing was happening. Second try, apparently I was muted. So this will be the third try. It's weird because I didn't know I was muted. Didn't tell me I was. My viewers had to tell me I was muted. Like I think there are people that are catching on that might have even started as trolls, but are, you know, if you're somebody that's a troll, you're very familiar with social media, how things work, how pages work, all that other shit. And so for you to start seeing things that you've never seen before, that should wake you up a little bit. And to me, you know, 2,500 subscribers, 0 viewers, those things don't go together. You know, this is precisely, you know, what the fear is in having these friars buying up all of these social media platforms and whatnot. You know, the thing is, if you know, like they used to go to great lengths, even greater lengths to fuck with me. They would make specific pages on Facebook and you know, post, and like entire identities, entire, you know, groupings were dedicated to, you know, shaming, negatively promoting whatever, me, solely dedicated to me. They weren't focused on anyone else. And I would never tell people, like, go shut that shit down, right? I would, you know, I loved it. The fact is, if they can drive people to my page with the intent of talking shit, it'd take 10, 15 minutes before that person realizes, holy shit, I'm on the wrong page for this. So, knowing that they're not going to say anything that hurts me or damages me, or, you know, anything that they do say that's negative is either going to be untrue, or it's just going to be something that, you know, I told you about in the first place, so obviously I don't care. And so you have to ask yourself, like, what's the difference here? Why are they so determined to shut me down if I'm wrong? You know, who cares? If I'm just selling porcupines, and apparently I do it in such a terrible way that nobody gives a shit, why would you continue to put in so much effort to stifle and censor me? To me, it's just all, like I say to you every day, like, you're not going to see the news broadcast where Trump is like, that guy Williams is firing on all cylinders and he terrifies us, so, you know, we're going to censor him. You're not going to see that report. You have to see what is presented. And as I said, if you're seeing things that you never see before, or outside of my page, you've never seen before, or see outside of my page, what do you guys think? Like, how do you reconcile that? What do you tell yourself? I know what I think. I know what seemingly is the natural reaction to that. But I don't know what you guys think. Maybe you see something I don't. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. I don't know. It's wild. So, I noticed in the last week or so, a few days, suddenly this meme is going around that has a woman in a hijab, and she's asking the question, why is it not okay for me to wear this, but it's okay for a nun? What's the difference? And then almost like aware of the stupidity in the response. The responder is this big giant gorilla. That's the one I saw. And I've seen another one too. I just don't remember what that one. But the one I just saw this morning was the gorilla was responding. And right there, exactly. You have to be that dumb level monkey, gorilla brain to think this way. But the response is, well, nuns don't explode. And I just thought, first of all, where did that even come from? Out of the blue? When was the last time you heard about a suicide bomber? I'm thinking the Australia thing. Was that the last big one? The Christchurch, I believe, or was that a shooting? One of them was a bombing, and they actually had footage of it somehow. The camera didn't get destroyed, or the footage didn't get destroyed by the blast. I don't know how many years ago that was. But I just thought it was weird. And yesterday I thought, yesterday I was thinking about it, talking about it. And then today, this morning, I see that meme again. So to me, that means there's going to be some sort of supposed suicide bombing that takes place. And it's going to be a significant one. Maybe it's going to be the Disney one that everybody's talking about. Because there's been a spike in people searching for Disneyland bombing, I think, in Google out of Israel. And that's generally what's been happening. So it's either they accidentally did it or they just don't give a shit. But Google seems to have this built-in program, this built-in software that shows you who was, if certain terms were being searched for on any day. You can go back and look, were these terms searched for. It turns out that every single major thing that's happened recently, whether it's one of the shootings or it's, even Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk bullshit, that prior to things happening, Tyler Robinson was searched for several times out of Israel. And you see that with the names of the, shooters and the Bondi Beach thing. And you're seeing this just, this can probably be traced back as far as the data goes, or, has yet to be scrubbed. But I would imagine it goes back to everything. And of course, they're going to fix it. They're going to make it so that's not a thing that can happen anymore. But recently, Disneyland bombed been searched for a bunch of times out of Israel. So people are thinking maybe there's something there. So yet again, I have between 2 and 3 viewers, 1 like, but no comments. Is it not working? Or is it just, did Gregory decide not to come back? Like, what's happening here? We got another like, so I don't know what that like means. Does that like means? Are you guys commenting? I can't tell. Oh, no, Gregory, we have you said I'm here. Okay, so everything seems to be working okay. You guys have to understand my trepidation here. Like, I don't get to just assume that my feed is working normally like everybody else's is, apparently. All right, so you guys are here now, so we can do this. So I was thinking about it yesterday, and I'm thinking about like suicide bombing, and what could somebody do? What could somebody offer me to get me to do something like that? And it's interesting that the whole 72 virgins thing, it doesn't even exist. It's not a thing. It's not a Muslim tenet, you martyr by suicide bombing, you get 72 virgins. Not even sure where that came from. Well, let's try to find it. So I'm here in the suicide attack section, but let's see. 72 virgins. Reference to 72 virgins. The Sunni Hadith scholar al-Trimidi quotes Muhammad as having said, "The smallest reward for the people of heaven is an abode where there are 80,000 servants and 72 hori, over which stands a dome decorated with pearls, aquamarine, and ruby, as wide as the distance from El Jabahila." Well, that doesn't sound anything like 72 virgins. Islamic trope, 72 virgins. Let's see. 72 virgins is a claim that states that a martyr will get 72 virgins in paradise. The 72 virgins does not appear in the Quran. They are a simplified translations of a lesser text and commentaries. Wait, why is this written so poorly? Like, isn't that strange? Right off the bat is a claim that a martyr will get 72 virgins in paradise. The 72 virgins does not appear in the Quran. They are a simplified translations of lesser text and commentaries, such as hadith, that usually refer to huris rather than virgins. Huris. Huri is, in plural form, is a heavenly female with beautiful eyes who lives alongside the Muslim faithful in paradise. So not even close to a virgin. There is a common belief in Western countries and Israel that Muslim men are enthusiastic about dying in battle because they believe they will be rewarded with 72 virgins in heaven. This is often used to explain suicide attacks and dismiss other possible motivations on politics or personal circumstances. Motivations based on politics or personal circumstances. The pervasive meme is derived from a reference to the heavenly angels in Islamic depictions of heaven. Specifically, a fairly obscure hadith describing them as dark-eyed virgin brides waiting for Islamic martyrs in heaven. But despite being a very common Islamophobic trope and prominent in anti-Arab racism, the story of 72 virgins, sometimes identified as the Huris, does not actually appear in the Quran, and it is mostly a myth about a myth. That's pretty fucking crazy. The Quran in Arabic is believed by devout Muslims to be direct word from God, a word of God, while the Hadith are supplementary texts of lesser value. They are quotes from the Prophet Muhammad, which are believed to be often unreliable. Scholars attempt to assess their reliability through chains of narration, who told who, that the Prophet said, and many conclude that the story granting all men 72 wives has a weak chain of narrators. Asad Abu Khalil has stated that, quote, the tendency to dwell on sexual motives of the suicide bombers belittles the bombers' socio-political causes, and that the alleged sexual frustration of young Muslim men has often, quote, has been overly emphasized in the Western and Israeli media as a motive for terrorism. That is fucking crazy. But it's exactly what I thought. You know, and the craziest thing is, I didn't need to be told. Just instead of just believing what I'm told, I sat back and I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, does this even make sense? To deal with 72 virgins and does virgins, are we talking about like, 20 something year old virgins, 30 something year old virgins? I think any of us, if you assume, you hear the word virgin, you assume someone young. Translation issues. Some reports of suicide bombers supposedly mentioning virgins waiting for them in heaven have allegedly been mistranslated. Some scholars say that the word used in the original Arabic has no connotation of gender and may be more accurately translates as angel or heavenly being. Christopher Luxemburg, let's believe him, in his German language book, the Syro-Aramaic reading of the Koran with a K, claimed that the word for huris meant white raisins based on translating. Maybe it's supposed to say translating, but because again, it's Arabic shit, nobody cares. The Arabic word as if it was a word in Syriac American. Maybe translating is. No, yeah, it says, did you mean translate? So obviously there's a typo here that seems like it should be corrected. This interpretation repeatedly has caused media storms. The translation of the Quran by N.J. Dawood, published as a Penguin paperback, if my memory serves me, Penguin paperbacks were Robert Maxwell's, right? An English publishing house co-founded in 1935 by Alan Lane and his brothers Richard and John. Penguin. Well, it doesn't say it. So maybe I'm wrong here. I know it has something to do with something important in this regard, because I know I've seen Penguin Publishing. I wish I could remember where I saw the Penguin part. Penguin published Deborah Lipstad's book Denying the Holocaust, which accused David Irving of Holocaust denial. Irving sued Lipstadt and Penguin for libel in 1998, but lost in a much publicized court case. That's fucking silly. Man, there's something that I'm missing. I know I've seen Penguin. The Quran, published as Penguin, describes Houris as chaste and virgins. Dawood was a native speaker of Arabic, but not a Muslim or a religious scholar. Zuddin Sardar criticized Dawood's translations as containing distortions that give the Quran violent and sexist overtones. In a comparison to a modern translation by Tarif Khalidi, Sardar described the very popular Dawood translation as largely responsible for the current misconception that Muslim paradise is full of virgins. N.J. Dawood. Oh, it says it right in the beginning. N.J. Dawood. Nassim Joseph Dawood, born August 27, 1927, died November 20th, 1914, was an Iraqi Jewish translator who is best known for his translations of the Quran. Nassim Joseph Dawood was born in Baghdad to a Jewish family. His name was Yehuda, but in the Iraqi tradition, his legal name consisted of his own given name, plus those of his father and paternal grandfather. Nassim Yusuf Dawood. He changed David to Dawood when he was granted British nationality in the 1940s. His pen name was N.J. Dawood. So, I mean, he's just a fucking piece of shit. You know, with the hidden identity and the multiple names, and they all have it. It's literally the same narrative just over and over again. Sardar described, Dawood's knowledge of the Arabic language is extensive and respected, and he also translated government documents, but him not being Muslim made his translation controversial. Many Muslims believe that fully capturing the meaning of the Quran in any other language is impossible and should only be attempted by a Muslim who understands the religion. Dawood was a native speaker of Arabic, but not a Muslim or a religious scholar. He was a Jew. You notice how they leave that out? I had to go look for it. So now we immediately jump to bin Laden's of war. Western media speculation about the motives of suicide bombers surged after the 2001 September 11th attacks in the United States. This included the 72 Virgin stories. One of the earliest appearances of the 72 Virgins trope is in the post-9/11 American English translation of the 1996 statement by Osama bin Laden. The reference was a minor point in a long manifesto that outlined his grievances with the United States. This 1996 statement by bin Laden is usually entitled Declaration of War Against the Americans Occupying the Land of the Two Holy Places. But the document is also sometimes called the Ladenese Epistille, a term derived from bin Laden's nasab. It just says Arabic names. What the fuck? It is a long piece and complains of American activities in numerous countries. It was faxed to Arabic language newspapers and internationally. It first appeared in London in the London-based Arabic paper Al Quds Al Arabia. So all you got to do is send these places something and they'll publish it. Look at this bullshit. 2 likes, 2 viewers, huh? Don't you think this is strange? Because the last thing they want right now, or in the next few weeks when whatever suicide bomb big thing is in the news, is to be able to have me go back and say, look, I fucking, or you to be able to go back and say, hey, that guy said this was going to happen. That guy was talking all about this shit. What the fuck? This is fucking wild, man. The martyr has a guarantee from God. He forgives him for the first drop of his blood and shows him his seat in heaven. He decorates him with the jewels of faith, protects him from the torment of the grave, keeps him safe on the day of judgment, places a crown of dignity on his head with the finest rubies in the world, marries him to 72 of the pure virgins of paradise, and intercedes on behalf of 70 of his relatives, as related by Ahmed al-Tirmidhi in an authoritative hadith. I mean, what does, okay, as related by this dude in an authoritative hadith, what does that mean? So he didn't say that? Other translations of the hadith, even in translations of the same manifesto, do not use sexual language. A martyr privileges are guaranteed by Allah, forgiveness with the first gush of his blood. He will be shown his seat in paradise. He will be decorated with the jewels of belief, Iman, married off to the beautiful ones, protected from the test in the grave, assured security in the day of judgment, crowned with the crown of dignity, a ruby of which is better than the whole world, and in its content, wedded to 72 of the pure Huris, beautiful ones of paradise, and his intercession on behalf of 70 of his relatives will be accepted. Now, we are talking about Tim Osman, right? Like, people understand, right? You guys understand? That's Tim Osman. So you can see how, like, it's all, this idea of 72, where does this even come from? So apparently nobody in the history of Islam ever thought about this shit beforehand, and then Osama bin Laden just somehow, came out with like, hey, by the way, and everybody was like, all right, Tim, Osama. Do you guys know that, like, Barack Obama, it sounds like Osama? Like, you get it? Like, you get it? It sounds similar. Duh. I'm going to spend a lot of time focused on this because it matters. Okay, so I'm just going to reset one more time. And I'll try to not call it anything else, okay? We'll call it nice stuff, okay? Pedophiles, kill yourself.